The narrator explained that few players in the NFL combined flair, brute strength, and relentless drive the way Travis Kelce did, as the Kansas City Chiefs star tight end had become a regular in highlight reels, a favorite in fantasy football, and a headline figure on and off the gridiron. Though that week the attention around him had not been triggered by a game-winning catch or a viral dance, but instead by an envelope that had arrived from league headquarters carrying news of a five-figure fine for a fleeting gesture that momentarily overshadowed an otherwise bruising contest. And to understand how it unfolded, the scene was set with the Chiefs locked in a tough, low-scoring battle against the Philadelphia Eagles. The echoes of their recent Super Bowl clash thick in the atmosphere, the tension described as sharp enough to cut through, with Kansas City's usually creative and explosive offense stalling. Patrick Mahomes struggling to find rhythm, the memory of Tyreek Hill's speed absent, and the team desperate for a spark, which came when Travis Kelce surged onto the field, barreling forward with deceptive pace for his size, hauling in 4 receptions for 61 hard-fought yards, each catch underscoring why he was a perennial Pro Bowler. Yet in football, a single drop could alter the flow of a game, and that moment arrived near the goal line when Mahomes delivered a dart threading through defenders. Kelce extended. Time seemed frozen, but the ball deflected off his hands. The stadium groaned, and what could have been a touchdown swing turned into a nightmare with a turnover followed by a quick Eagles score. The box score noting only an incomplete pass and change of possession, but the emotional impact cutting far deeper. And still, that was not the incident that would dominate discussion, as later Kelce made another reception, fought through a Philadelphia defender for a crucial first down. Adrenaline rushing, the crowd in full voice, and in that surge he unleashed a split-second gesture, a not-so-subtle motion referencing his private area, the kind of joke that might get a laugh in a locker room. But on a field under thousands of cameras and the league's strict conduct rules, it became a different matter. As under Commissioner Roger Goodell, the NFL had long emphasized policing on-field actions in the name of protecting a billion-dollar family product where image carried as much weight as statistics. So when the clip reached league officials, their response was swift. A fine of $14,000, a figure small in the context of Kelce's salary and endorsements, yet still money no one liked to lose over an impulsive act, especially with the team off to a shaky start where every yard and moment of momentum was precious. And to fans, his gesture seemed more like a flash of personality, reminding them that beneath helmets these were human beings driven by emotion. Since football itself was a blend of controlled chaos where tempers flared, and celebrations became part of the show alongside touchdowns and tackles. But the league's strict stance on such displays had long been debated, with some defending professionalism and family accessibility, while others pointed out that fans hungered for authenticity, as history had always featured colorful stars like Chad Johnson, Terrell Owens, and Rob Gronkowski, whose antics had left Sundays unforgettable. And Kelce himself, with quick wit and charisma, walked that same line, celebrated in Kansas City for exuberant spikes, playful banter with fans, and visible energy, qualities that endeared him yet also invited trouble with rule enforcement. Since the code of conduct evolved yearly and actions overlooked decades ago now drew fines, serving as reminders that even as individuality was more welcomed, boundaries remained. And for Kelce and the Chiefs, chasing another championship meant living under magnified scrutiny where every gesture carried weight, the margin for error thin. But that very intensity also forged legends. And when asked afterward about the fine, Kelce responded casually that emotion sometimes spilled over, and he would learn and move forward. Words of a veteran who understood that true tests lay not in handling success, but in managing setbacks. And his coach Andy Reid brushed off controversy by describing Kelce as a competitor who wanted to win and played hard, noting that in football's heated environment such moments happened, showing how teammates rallied behind their star. As in professional football, every play resembled a skirmish and fiery passion doubled as strength and weakness, raising the question of why the story resonated so strongly. And the answer was framed as the paradox central to sports, the clash between perfection and imperfection, order and chaos, rules and rebellion. With Kelce embodying that contradiction as a modern star who was both marketable and deeply human, his mistakes becoming reminders that even the best faltered, and greatness was often shaped by how athletes rebounded. So for fans, the fine was merely a footnote compared with the urgency of the next game, drive, and playoff push. While for Kelce, it was a lesson in how unrelenting the spotlight remained. Every action magnified, passion sometimes measured in lost dollars. Though for the wider audience, it offered insight into the mind of a superstar and the spirit of a sport where rules existed, yet the emotional fuel of competition could never be fully restrained. And as the season continued, the Chiefs would face mounting challenges with defenses zeroing in on Kelce, the pressure of scrutiny intensifying, each catch or celebration dissected. And in the back of his mind, he would not forget that envelope carrying the league's penalty, though it would not alter his personality, because the NFL functioned as a stage, and Kelce shone as one of its brightest stars. His energy and edge vital to the spectacle, since for every penalty there were countless moments of brilliance with one-handed grabs, bone-crushing blocks, and infectious celebrations that reminded everyone why they tuned in. For football's magic did not rest solely in victories or statistics, but in human triumphs and flaws. And while headlines focused on a fine, his legacy would be shaped by moments that stirred cheers, groans, and loyalty. So fans were urged to keep eyes on number 87 the next time the Chiefs played, watching his movement, competitive fire, and joy in celebrating the game he loved. Because within a league built on spectacle, the most captivating stories often lay not in box scores, but in the raw passion, bold personalities, and even the penalties that together made the NFL the grandest show in sports. And at that point, the narrator urged viewers not to miss updates on stories like this by subscribing. Before continuing to describe how the controversy had sparked wider conversation about celebration rules, with some pointing out how heavily the league had shifted from its looser past to a stricter, image-conscious present where even slight gestures were seen as violations, reinforcing how the game's evolution mirrored its business expansion, yet also showing that players like Kelce kept authenticity alive, balancing the line between entertainment and professionalism. And his willingness to push boundaries kept him appealing despite fines, since audiences craved that realness, and the story underscored that while the fine stung, it would never overshadow his importance. Because the Chiefs relied on his playmaking presence, Mahomes trusted his reliability, and Reed valued his energy, making him irreplaceable in their system, and the fallout revealed more about the culture of the league than about Kelce himself, because it illustrated how every move of a star could ripple across the NFL's image-driven landscape. And just as quickly, the narrator again added a light invitation to subscribe before the next key point, reminding viewers that staying connected ensured they would not miss the unfolding season drama. Then carried on to emphasize that beyond this fine, Kelce's reputation was built on years of consistency, leadership, and charisma. So this headline became only another chapter in a career already packed with unforgettable plays, team triumphs, and personal milestones. And though the scrutiny might weigh on some, for him it fueled the competitive edge that defined his identity, pushing him to embrace the pressure instead of retreating from it. As the season's grind continued and opponents strategized to contain him, he would continue finding ways to impact the game, whether by drawing coverage, creating mismatches, or making plays that shifted momentum. And in the process, he would inevitably deliver moments that made fans erupt, moments that balanced his occasional missteps with undeniable brilliance, reinforcing why he remained not just a tight end but a symbol of the Chiefs' spirit. And the narrator closed by affirming that football's greatest allure came not from sanitized perfection, but from players like Kelce, whose fire made every Sunday unpredictable, emotional, and worth watching.